Hi, welcome back to my channel. I am Leo's Harmony, and today we're looking at how you're healing your Divine Masculine. So I have three different cards here. I'm actually showing you what these cards are rather than, you know, keeping it hidden. So go ahead and pick a card and we'll get started with your reading based on that. So I'll give you a little bit of time to do that and then we can go ahead and start. Okay, pile one, welcome to your reading. So you got the card Lantern, number 44. And it says consciousness is light. So I'm going to read a little bit from the guidebook before I get started with the actual reading. It says the crone has completed the circle of phases and perspectives pertaining to feminine consciousness: maiden, mother, guardian, and crone. The lanterns hanging from the featured crone's wrist illuminate her world with the clarity of having integrated her spirit self with herself. She has successfully released all of the illusory filters that has created limiting effects on her mind and fed the unhelpful aspects of the ego. The white light of love that the crone is can now reach all that is within her periphery. Without judgment or expectation, she is now capable of objectively observing all with compassionate consideration and calm composure. So it seems like a lot of you have healed in a way. It's pretty much like an ending of a phase with this card here. And it talks about completion, but it also talks about maiden, mother, guardian, and crone. But it's mostly about the feminine, even though this reading is about the masculine. So maybe you are in a phase where you completed your feminine energy healing, but now you're moving on to masculine. But let's pull some more oracle cards to kind of take a look at that. So I'm going to use an angel deck first, and then I'm going to move on to a crow deck. So you got Malakuth, ground the kingdom. I'm going to take a look at the guidebook and kind of try to find his name here so I can kind of read this for you, since that doesn't give us a lot of information there. But give me a second and I just have to find him. Okay. The 10th and final emanation, the physical world in which we live, the domain of mankind. Malkuth is an emanation of emanations, the culmination of many aspects that form the tree of life. Everything from our bodies to the experiences we have in them to the world in which we exist is Malkuth. The infinite space that expands across the universe is a manifestation of her. Oh, sorry, her. Okay. So basically, it seems like she's kind of like ourselves, our home, Earth. It's like the tree of life, like it's saying. It's kind of like a manifestation of that. And weirdly enough, the sun keeps like moving in and out. So maybe that's a sign as well. So that's a really interesting card. So maybe there's knowledge for you to be having in some way. Let me pull from the crow cards here. Your first card is Wrath. Your second card is Trickery. So it's a little interesting how you got kind of like negative cards here, but this is a reading about healing, so it does kind of make sense, right? So maybe there's something for you to heal in your divine masculine that's making you a little bit more wrathful and a little bit more of a trickster. But it seems like you finished with the divine feminine already, and I think there's a need for you to kind of find that groundness, right? That Pentacles energy, because there is something negative here about like wrath and trickery, and maybe your, in a sense, like your divine masculine is pretty much forcing like this energy of like negativity because you haven't healed it. So let's get more information with tarot. So I'll be right back. Okay, so you got the Knight of Pentacles, you got the Ace of Swords, the King of Wands, you got the card Destiny that's exclusive to this deck, and then you got the Five of Swords. So there's a lot about thoughts here that you're kind of dealing with and you're kind of healing. With the Knight of Swords, it's kind of like you're learning how to be more of a careful person. Maybe you're using your words a little too carelessly. Maybe your actions are a little too careless. And your thoughts may even be careless. And you're kind of learning how to heal that in order to become a better version of yourself. Because you've done the feminine healing already. And you're working on the masculine right now. So that card is basically talking about that. The Ace of Swords can talk about the beginning of something like mentally, since swords are about thoughts. So you're learning how to, embrace this change. You're learning how to actually start this. And this is basically saying that's the beginning of that. With the King of Wands, someone who's very passionate, someone who's very put together, um, someone who has like what they want, right? Someone who's basically the epiphany of like someone who's like very passionate and they have everything that they want and they're put together, they're stable, like they've done all the healing. So it's kind of like you're learning to move from this energy of, okay, I'm going to try to be more careful. I'm going to start healing. These are the ideas that I have about it. And this is kind of like what I want from it. So it's basically that's what your healing journey with the divine masculine is going to be about, because you're basically learning how to control your wrath, your trickery energy into something more stable, something more aligned with light. And this is a part of your destiny here, since you did get the destiny card. So maybe this is something that was meant to be this way. Like you started with the feminine to kind of find that compassion, right? And empathy and understanding. And then you moved on to masculine to kind of deal with like the actual um like wrathful type of trickery energy that you have right now, to ground yourself, to find, like that motherly energy from the divine feminine to kind of calm down the masculine. And maybe this is the way that it was meant to be the whole time. So I don't think, you've delayed yourself in any way or anything like that. This is kind of like what it was meant to happen in this way. With the Five of Swords at the end, it's kind of like you're learning how to not create too much conflict. You're learning how to be more uh, selfless, right? You're kind of being more giving to other people instead of like trying to, battle them the entire time and create this type of conflict. Maybe there's a part of you that kind of steals in a way, steals energy and steals, the light out of stuff. But I think that's more of like the pain behind a divine masculine and why that's happening. And I think, you are going through this change to kind of help that and to change that. So I think you're doing what you're supposed to. And your guides are kind of confirming that. And they're basically saying, yeah, you know, the divine masculine is learning how to be a better version of themselves. Because I think you kind of know there's still work for you to do, right? You're definitely not, like the best version of yourself, but you're putting in the work. And that's the good thing about this, that you're doing what you need to. And this is part of your destiny here. So you're doing what you need to. I don't think there's nothing to fear. Um, you, you're going to receive help from your guides, but I think you don't need a lot of help because you kind of have everything. You have all the tools necessary to go through this healing itself. So I don't think there really is much for your guides to do because you kind of know what to do. And I think you will complete that. So there really is no issue here with the way you're doing things. And I think you got it. Everything's fine. So let me pull some closing cards here. You got the card Transform. It says emerge with beauty and grace from your cocoon. So, the beauty and grace can be seen as like something healed, right? Something beautiful instead of like something dark. So that's basically what's happening here with your healing for your divine masculine. You got two cards here. You got flow. It says go with the flow as water trickles down a stream. Do not hurry. And then you got hope. It says an idea like a single acorn can start a wondrous forest. So you're hoping to change, right? And you're hoping to kind of heal. And there is a need for you to kind of like let go of expectations and kind of just let things happen the way that they're meant to happen. You're going with the flow. You don't have to heal this like overnight. But like the hope there does kind of help you deal with this and like kind of heal. So I don't think there is anything wrong with the way that you're doing stuff, but there is like a message to kind of stop being so controlling of like the healing aspect of it and just more letting go and then heal. Like letting go and just kind of deal with the emotions as they kind of come by rather than having a plan in your head about like, oh, I'm going to do this today or do that. And I think that's what your guides are kind of mentioning here. But that is really it for your reading, Pile 1. I hope, this message helped you a bit. But if you did like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you would like a personalized reading, my Etsy is linked down below. But thank you for watching. Okay, Pile 2, welcome to your reading. So you got the card number 22, which says Women Supporting Women. It says, together we can transcend our individual limitations. It says, women who share their weaknesses, struggles, and shames, as well as their joy, victories, and opportunities, support each other's life journey. Together, women have the potential to strengthen each other in overcoming challenges and to rise much higher than is individually possible. So they kind of talk about how there's this period of like finding people who haven't really, they don't really have a good outcome, right? So they're going through hardship just as you are and finding like this community of like support where they kind of talk about each other's problems and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going through that too. I'm so sorry you're going through that. But we can support each other in this like tough time. So maybe there's a need for you to kind of find that type of support group to heal your divine masculine. And that's something that not a lot of like males have in life sometimes, where women are kind of seen um as like these group of people that you know connect with each other in that way, where they do talk about things like this and they're like, oh, I'm going through this and that, and they usually have like a big supportive group, where like males typically stereotypically are kind of laughed at for going through stuff, so they don't really have the opportunity to kind of like talk to someone about it. But there is a need for you to kind of talk with someone about the struggles that you're going through, and like kind of like finding a way to heal through that. But let me pull a few oracle cards to kind of give us more information. You got such laugh. It says angel of verdancy. I think, I read from the guidebook from pile one, for pile one, sorry, but I don't think I need to for you. Because I think with this angel of verdancy, it's pretty much talking about how you're having, you know, an opportunity to find something good. Find, like this meadow of greenery and like something beautiful for you. And I think this is more just talking about how you're finding that rather than an actual message from like the angel itself. So let me pull a few cards from the Crow deck to give us more information. This one fell out. It's number 35 and it says perspective. Let me get one more for you. You got number 16 and it talks about dominance. That's not that straight. Okay, so you got the card of perspective and you got the card of dominance. So maybe you're not seeing a group of friends that you have as a support group, and there is a need for you to kind of change that perspective. There is a need for you to like kind of let that go, because that is a way for you to heal. Maybe you are meant to talk to them. Maybe you're, maybe you've never had that type of conversation with them before, and that's affecting your ability to heal. For others, it's about finding a new group of people who are able to give you that new perspective of like, oh, my friends can be someone I can talk to. It doesn't have to be like these group of people that don't really support me in that way emotionally. But I think there is like a something there with dominance, right? Like you're kind of dealing with that negatively. And maybe in people like being very dominant with you, that's kind of like how you learn to kind of deal with situations and not to kind of like let go. So the divine feminine can be seen as someone who's not as dominant versus the divine masculine, but maybe there is a need for you to kind of blend the two energies together in order to kind of heal. But let me pull some tarot cards and I'll be right back. Okay, pile two. So you got the Ten of Swords, you got the Hierophant, you got the Magician, the Five of Cups, and the Nine of Cups. So with the Ten of Swords in the beginning, it's pretty much talking about like an ending, right? So you're ending some type of pain that doesn't serve your highest purpose, doesn't serve your highest good, or your highest healing. So you're ending something for the divine masculine energy in you in order to kind of better yourself in some way. With the Hierophant here, it's kind of like you're learning how to be, I guess you can see the Hierophant as like the best version of yourself. And they're pretty much extending their hand and their knowledge and being like, hey, I'm here to teach you something. I need you to come with me so you can learn. And then with the Magician, it's like you're becoming that magician at the end, like you're mastering the abilities that you need to. And with that, at the end, it kind of comes down to the Five of Cups. It's like something negative. But then the Nine of Cups, it's like you're getting everything that you want. So you're learning how to break something down in order to receive what you want. You're letting something go to get something that you want. So it's very clearly talking about how you are changing a lot for your best version of yourself, for your divine masculine. You're finding that verdancy in a situation. You're finding that you can be supported. The Hierophant can talk about community as well, and you are being supported here. And I think in talking to like a community and having a community of people who care about you and can, you know, listen to you like emotionally, is very healing for you, and it's something that you should be doing. So pretty much you need to find a community so that your perspective can change about talking to people about your issues. And, don't be so dominant about a situation or, like your emotions and like kind of keep it to yourself and like, oh, I don't need to talk to anyone or, oh, this and that. No, like let that out. You should be able to talk about that with the friends that you have, that community that you have, that family, anything like that. So, very clearly, your guides are basically saying in order for you to heal your divine masculine, change that perspective, allow, you know, your community to support you, to be able to break down and learn how to be the best version of yourself for your divine masculine. So, that is what you're doing here. Let me get a few closing cards. It says teach. Inspire others and let nature be your greatest teacher. So you kind of got nature here, right? And you also got teach. So, going out into nature can be a teacher for you. But also, I think in talking with your community, you're kind of learning as well how to be, how to heal in a way. You got cleanse. It says, wash your weary spirit clean and take a walk in the wooded glades. So, again, like the greenery kind of comes out again. So maybe there is a need for you to kind of go outside and go into nature to find healing for yourself as well. Maybe you're going hiking with your friends and that's very therapeutic for you. Forbearance. It says, do not be deterred by the thorns amidst the roses. So there's like, thorns here that are kind of holding you back. And you're kind of breaking that down and letting that kind of go. Because that is a way for you to kind of heal here. So you're letting the negativity go to heal. And that's what your guides are kind of like mentioning here. So I think very clearly find a community of friends that you can talk to about this that can help you kind of deal with your emotions and talk about it in a positive way. And in doing so, you're really going to learn, like, oh, maybe the way that I learned how to deal with my emotions from my parents are not right. Or, uh, if a lot of people are telling me, like, oh, that's kind of weird that you're acting like that, I'm going to be like, oh, am I really being weird? Like, okay, I need to think about that. Like, what's happening here? There's so many things that you need to unlearn to kind of learn again, to do that in a better way. And that's going to heal your divine masculine. But that is it for you, pile two. I hope that message is helpful for you. And I hope that if you did like this reading, you'd like a comment and subscribe. And if you would like a personalized reading, my Etsy is linked down below. But thank you for watching. Okay, pile three, welcome to your reading. So you got card number 7 with distorted perceptions. It says reality is rarely what we are raised to believe it is. In the guidebook, it says how we experience the world changes throughout life. Such shifts in perception typically occur when an event, a person or a place, or a new life stage leaves us questioning something integral to what has been our understanding of the world or ourselves. Consequently, our perception and thinking shifts irreversibly and changes how we experience our reality. So there's something about your perception right now that might be different because of the situation that you're in. So we're going to pull a few more cards to get more information, and then we'll move on to tarot. That is way too many cards. So I'm going to shuffle again. This one kind of wants to come out. This is Phanuel. It says Angel of Truth. So I don't think we need the guidebook for this one. That's very, obvious what the message is there. So there is a need for you to kind of find the truth in your perception of like what's happening. Let me pull some from a crow deck. The first card you got here is Nature. And the second card you got here is Isolation. So you could potentially be isolating yourself because your perspective of a situation is not true. Maybe you're isolating yourself because of that, and it's not, your guides are saying it's not true. Or maybe you have in the past, a lot. But, this isn't good for your divine masculine, and it's something that you need to heal. But let me pull tarot cards and I'll be right back. Okay, pile three. So you got the Ace of Wands, you got the Page of Cups, Emperor, you got the Six of Swords, and the Two of Cups. So it seems like with your divine masculine, you're kind of healing a part of yourself that's like damaged. So with the Ace of Wands, it's kind of like you're getting this new idea, this new passion. The Page of Cups, you're kind of being a little bit more caring and hopeful, and like you're kind of learning, right? How to like deal with these emotions that you have. With the Emperor, it's kind of like a leader, someone who's really put together. They don't really have to worry about anything because they have, that confidence. They have that stable mentality. With the Six of Swords, it's someone who's like really, it's like damaged goods, right? And then with the Two of Cups, that's talking about like love and union. So not only, you know, these perceptions that you have are damaging your ability to like kind of unite with like the love of your life. Maybe if you are like in a relationship right now, it's kind of hurting it. It's more than, hurting more than helping. And there really is a need for you to like find the truth in the nature of a situation here instead of like isolating because of your perception of something. Maybe you're perceiving something as something negative and you're like overthinking, and that's based on like your anxiety and like the past and the pain that you have here because of the past. And there's a need for you to kind of let that go because you're having these thoughts that aren't true and it's damaging you more than you know you are at the moment, because there is a need for you to kind of heal. But I think you are going to do that here. These cards are really wonderful. Ace of Wands, Page of Cups, and the Emperor. So you're healing your divine masculine. It doesn't mean that you have to be like a male. In my beliefs, we all have divine masculine and feminine energy. And when we find our twin flame, we find that balance with them. So it's kind of like the two energies are kind of blending together. Those are my beliefs. So this is why I'm kind of like saying this as like everyone. But you need to be careful. So this is pretty much how you are now. Your perceptions are distorted. It says reality is rarely what we are raised to believe it is. And with the Six of Swords, you are like damaged because of this. It's affecting your emotions, it's affecting your thoughts, and it's affecting your love life. You're not in a place where like what you're believing is true is actually true. And with the Angel of Truth here, they're trying to help you find that truth. Because of your past, you're letting that affect the truth. Maybe they're doing things for a good thing, but your mind immediately jumps to something negative. And that's something for you to heal. Like, why is what they're doing something negative rather than something positive? You're isolating yourself based on that perception that you have rather than finding out the facts first. It's kind of like you're giving up rather than actually trying to deal with the emotion and find the truth. So you're healing that in your divine masculine. And that is something that may not come easily. That's something that might take time. But I don't think it's something you have to, work on and heal overnight. So there's nothing wrong with that taking time. With the Ace of Wands, the Page of Cups, and the Emperor, I pretty much said that, you are going to work through this and you are going to finish it. With the Two of Cups at the end, maybe at the end of this, you'll find better love for yourself, but maybe for other people as well. Because with the isolation card there, maybe you are isolating yourself because of your perceptions. Maybe people don't want to be around you because of that. And that's damaging your relationships. And obviously, that's not a good thing. Like, maybe you're losing friends because of it. Like, what is that helping, right? Let me get a few closing cards here. You got strength. It says when your roots are deep You need not fear the storm. So yeah, these roots are deep. Like these perceptions that you have, they're from pain of the past or the way that you grew up. And there is a need for you to kind of let this go and change. But that will take strength because, you know, these are so deeply rooted into your character. You got journey. It says branch out to new worlds. So again, it's like a need for you to kind of like let those roots go and then move on to something new. And that something new is a place of healing, a place of positivity, a place of light. I kind of want to pull out two here. So you got renew. It says nature continuously renews itself year after year. And then you got clearing, make room for growth. So what this kind of reminds me of is, you know how there's controlled fires in forests that I think the park rangers or firefighters kind of help with, and it's made so that these forests can kind of burn down so that they can grow stronger. You got nature twice, and that's pretty much, you know, you also got renew. So that's, you know, aiding that thought that I have where you're burning things down, things that don't help you here, things that are kind of hurting you and causing you to be isolated from the rest of the world, to kind of make that into a better thing. Make that into something that will help you, something that's like more light oriented rather than dark, negative. And you're making room for growth. So again, you're clearing out the forest so that it builds itself back up. You're clearing out that forest so that you can fill it full of love and light. And your divine masculine needs that right now because that's what's causing you to have these distortions in your perception. Your divine masculine needs you to heal so that you can find love in all sense of that word, with yourself, with other people, with a partner, with life. And you need to let go of the negativity because it's hurting you. But I don't think you're alone in doing this. I think you're getting help from your guides. You're definitely getting help from this angel, Phanuel. So it's like people, beings are reaching out to you to help you. And maybe in doing so, like other people will also help you because you've been isolated and that's not good for you. So I think you are going to heal. You're going to do this wonderfully and it will be successful. It's just a matter of like having that strength to kind of let go, like break down your character. You got to let that ego go. It's so hard to, I've had to do it as well, where you kind of have to let go of an old version of yourself to kind of find a new version of yourself that's better. And we make decisions that don't help us. We make decisions that might hurt us. But in healing that, we're putting in the work to allow something better to come, to allow a better version of yourself to kind of come out. And that's what your guides want from you. But that is it for you, pile 3. You know, this is such a transformative healing journey for you, and you will do it. I have no doubt. But you're going to come out of it looking back and you're going to be like, damn, I was such a different person. And I love the version of myself that I've become. Because you're going to be more aligned with your spirituality, more aligned with your light, and more aligned with your divine masculine. And that's what you're missing right now. But that is it for you, pile 3. I hope this reading helps you heal. Thank you for watching. If you would like to, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you would like a personalized reading, my Etsy is linked down below. But thank you for watching.